The murder of Walter Scott by Officer Michael Slager last weekend probably would have received a vigorous defense by hosts on Fox News, as the shooting of unarmed black men almost always is in this country over the past few years, except that video came out that definitively showed that Walter Scott was running away when he was shot. So that sent Fox into a bit of a frenzy to figure out how to address this, and surprisingly, it looks like they're actually, for once, going to acknowledge that the cop did not do the right thing. In this video, you're going to see Arthur Aidala talking about a history of cops planting guns on those they kill.
It looks like he's putting something, some have suggested planting evidence near the scene.
Well, what looks like, and there's some video on there where they really highlight it, it looks like he runs back to the initial scene of the altercation, picks up the taser, and then runs back and drops it next to the body. I mean, guys, when I was in the DA's office in the 80s and the 90s, that was like a standard operating procedure. A police officer would keep, I mean, I hate to say this, but it was you know, you could read about it in books. They would keep a second gun that nobody knew about on their ankle. And so if they ever killed someone who they shouldn't have, they would then take that gun out and put the
You're talking about dirty cops.
I'm talking about dirty cops in the 70s and 80s and corruption, and there was all kinds of, you know, trials having to do with that.
That was before the iPhone, and that would not be allowed.
Okay, so first, of course,
he was waiting so long to say that.
Yeah. So here is a guy randomly making sense on Fox News. He's admitting things he probably shouldn't admit. He said standard operating procedure. That's what he said. Okay. And then the Fox guys come in. Wait a minute now. No, right? It's just dirty cops, bad apples. Remember, that's our talking point.
You're talking about dirty cops.
Just a few bad apples, right?
Yeah, moron. I'm talking about dirty cops.
So he comes in and says that, and then if you notice, he went from 80s and 90s to 70s and 80s. So he's like, I mean, much earlier.
In the 1780s, they would drop a musket on the body of someone they killed. Here, we found a blunderbuss. Clearly, the cop was in the right.
So, and then Kilmeade with, I mean, there's iPhones, right? So that they don't do that anymore. But well, that implies a couple of things. One is, like, before, when they can get away with it, all the cops used to do that all the time. Now they can't get away with it. That's why they don't do it. Now, of course, he doesn't clarify that, right?
Yeah.
And second of all, it's not true.
No.
Of course, all these things that we're seeing where they do it anyway, right?
Yeah. Well, they do it anyway, and the video isn't enough to actually get justice, which, admittedly, in this case, we do actually seem to be at least in the first steps towards getting justice. And also, by the way, many states, including Texas today, introduced a bill to stop private citizens bystanders from filming what cops do. You're supposed to have that right in every state across America. Texas trying to take it away. And I'm sure Fox probably would feel like that's within their power. So if that's the only thing stopping them, according to, was that Kilmeade, then you should protect the right of Americans to continue to film what cops do. I don't know that they would actually protect that right.
Yeah. Now, when we move on to Napolitano, he's going to also talk about it being on camera. Even when he doesn't talk about it, that's the implication here, because that's the difference between what happened in Ferguson to some degree and what happened here.
Yeah.
Now, let's go to Napolitano, and then I want to come back and explain.
I'm sure today, Judge, people are going to make comparisons between this and Ferguson.
This is not Ferguson. I mean, Ferguson, there was a bona fide fight over the officer's gun, and the officer won the fight. This is two disparate cases here. This is a victim running away from the police, shot in the back. This is what some people said Ferguson was, but it turned out it wasn't.
How rare is it for a cop to be arrested right away and jailed right away?
Unheard of, Brian. It's also unheard of for the cop not to get bail. I mean, there's pictures all over the world. Where's he going to go?
Still defending the cop a little bit. I mean, he should get
Somebody
bail.
needs to stand up for the cop who shot a guy 5 times in the back while he was running away from a traffic stop. Somebody needs to protect him.
Right. Now, the real difference is that in this case we have video, and in the Brown case we didn't have video.
Yeah.
Now, look, there are other differences, and I laid out a real long video explaining what to the best of our abilities, we think happened in the Michael Brown case. And so I don't think that Michael Brown had his hands up in surrender and was turning himself in. No, I don't believe that, based on the Justice Department report, which was exhaustive in its analysis, right? At the same time, there was something very similar in that Michael Brown, Napolitano's not right there. He says there was a legitimate scuffle over the gun, and then
that's it.
And then the officer shot him. No, there was a legitimate scuffle over the gun. That part is true. And then Michael Brown ran 180 feet away from the cop's car. Now, Wilson starts chasing him, so the distance between them is not that large at one point. But at some point, Michael Brown turns around and, according to several witnesses, puts his hands up, right, and is bleeding from the arms, like he got shot from the back. And there are bullet holes coming in from behind his arm. So now you can't prove that definitively because his hand could have been like this, so it's not necessarily getting shot.
Yeah.
Right, and we don't have video, right?
Yeah.
So that's a very complicated case. But it's not true that Wilson and Brown are in a struggle and, oh my God, Wilson's about to get shot. No, he shoots Michael Brown. No, the guy is running away, just like in this case.
Yeah.
And then what happens after that is very unclear.
Yeah, and look, unfortunately, we will never know exactly what happened there, but of course, those individuals who are on TV every day analyzing these cases are willing to, because Michael Brown is dead and we don't have video, they will trust every word that Darren Wilson said. I don't purport to know exactly what happened, but I do find it suspicious that the guy is approached by a cop, he immediately reaches for the cop's gun. That seems odd. And then after being shot and running away, he decides to charge a man who he knows has a gun, and he knows he does not personally have a gun. That seems odd. I'm just raising questions. They're the ones that seem so sure of exactly what happened in all these cases.
Okay, and finally to John's point, you think that if there was no video of this, that the Fox guys, their analysts would have come out and been like, oh, the cop's definitely wrong. No, it's clear here. You know, I'm sure that the cop is not telling the truth. Come on.
Never.
Now, and it would have gone way beyond that. It's fine to say I'm not sure either way. Of course, if you don't have video and you just have it counsel both sides. Anybody with a straight face, even if you're a conservative, diehard Fox News fan, could you really say, no, Fox News would have been fair and they would have thought, well, the black guy running away is just as likely to be right as the white cop who shot him. I mean, Fox News says that all the time, right?
Yeah.
They never say that. In this case, we have indisputable video evidence. That's the only reason they're saying it.
Yeah.
So that they can then pretend like, see, we're impartial in all the cases. We're reasonable.
We're being very reasonable because we have no alternative right now.
Yeah, plus he should be out on bail.
Totally, he should be out on bail.